Number two, speaking to our current conditions, challenges, and our relationship to Kwanzaa, the Nguzo Saba, and our culture more broadly. We have Inland Area Kwanzaa Group member, Dr. Jamille Harrell Sims. Dr. Jamille is a clinical herbalist, professor of behavioral science, and life coach, specializing in mental and physical health and organic herbal remedies. She will share how the Nguzo Saba and other cultural wisdom can help us win against the going morale pandemic. You can find out more about Dr. Sims and her work at www.jharrellsims.com. Dr. Sims.
Arigani. Going after the brother is quite interesting because I love to hear him speak. But you know what? I have a little different take on things because I see what's happening to our youth and our families. I have a long history of working in the community. In fact, I can say I was born to work in the community. So we're going to talk about Kwanzaa in the present. Because see, we Black people, we've accomplished far more in our existence than others can fathom. We have never been taught our true greatness. We've been taught his story, but not our story, which is the truth. And we have made it out of sheer darkness. And in love, I would tell you we've come so far, but also in love, I would tell you we have a ways to go. I'm happy to see that there's a surge in our strength because we got shot down for a minute, but you know, we always rise. And I haven't seen a surge like this since the beginning of hip hop in the 80s. Actually, way before that, we had, you know, the Watts, the Last Poets, and we have Brother Gil Scott-Heron, and we had all those things. I'm gonna talk a little musically because we are the people that have a soundtrack for who we are. We actually have a soundtrack. We're the only ones. Why? Because everybody else got their soundtrack from us. And so seeing this surge, you know, we had Poor Righteous Teachers, we had X-Clan, we had Public Enemy, we had KRS-One, and we had an outpouring of knowledge during the 80s that is nothing more than unfinished business from the 60s, which is nothing more than unfinished business that's been going on since the beginning of time. We are the roses that grew from the concrete. See, because every time we rose up, COINTELPRO, the crack era was COINTELPRO. Now, I'm not going to talk about anything negative, but I'm going to talk about is how we are the people that can take a negative and turn it into a positive, because that's just who we are. We're stronger. You know, we're standing up. We're what the youth call woke, that has been confiscated and, you know, from others. We know what true wokeness is. And that, in my eyes, is the spirit questioning the lies that we've been taught, the spirit seeking the truth. We love our beautiful, highly melanated skin. And again, we're embracing our beautiful hair again, and this in turn has grown into loving our beautiful spirits. See, now it's time to love. So Kwanzaa is a holiday where we can come together and reaffirm our commitment to the growth of ourselves and our people. And every year, think about it, every year, other groups have a time of gathering. They reconnect and reaffirm their commitments. They have a code. They don't break that code. If you sit back and think about everything you've heard on the news and everything that you've actually seen go on, if you really pay attention, they have a code. And Nguzo Saba is a list of guiding principles that we need to adhere to 365 days per year, not once a year, 365 days per year. And with that, I'd like to discuss the Nguzo Saba, what it has the power to do, how we can benefit from making this a positive part of our lives by increasing the numbers of Black people who understand, embrace, and apply the principles to their lives every day, on a daily basis. We must do this. We have to become a positive, united force, and we have to demand our own self-respect and honor, our ancestors and honor those to come instead of trailing the world. We'll be leading the world, and we have never been taught that we are the true leaders. And anytime we say we know who we are, what happens? They got to come and they got to fight that. It's apparent and it's absolutely necessary that we highly melanated people, that's what I refer to us because we come in so many different hues. We highly melanated people adapt and adhere to a codified cultural set of values. See, we need a code. We need a code to live by. And I call this getting on code because all the other cultures have their code of conduct, and this guarantees our socioeconomic survival. This guarantees the survival of our families, political power. And there are groups much smaller than ours without the significant contributions that we've made. We built this country, not up for discussion. As a clinical herbalist, we're taught about the Hippocratic Oath that, I'm not an MD, I'm a PhD, but I have friends who are MDs and do no harm, Hippocratic Oath. Well, we're not taught that. Where did he learn his? Imhotep is the original doctor. So we're not even given the information for us to even understand who we are. So we need these things. We have these horrific experiences in this country that we've had, and yet we look at other people who come in after our fight, our struggle, and they are totally sufficient. So much so that they've not been a guiding force, and they've not had to be too much of an advocate. They now have political power off of our work. Thus, the issue of Kwanzaa is a unifying way of life that will help bring us to a place where we'll be able to feel somewhat protected, heard, and it provides us with a common goal for our people. The Nguzo Saba is a guiding principle. Kwanzaa is the holiday. I should feel safe when I see one of my brothers or sisters near me. I should know without saying a word that we do, that I'm protected. Our children are protected. Our men are protected. If you're on social media, you can clearly see the slave pathology that's been so prevalent in our community. We're celebrating our own dysfunction. I've had the embarrassment of looking at TikTok and seeing to what end some of us will go through just to get attention. We're advocating for every group that practices anti-Black racism who benefit from our struggle, but give us no respect. The anti-family agenda and the reconsideration of what our roles are, including but not limited to, the celebration of high consumerism and a culture that destroys itself from the inside out, that's what they want to see. That's what pays the bills. And if you watch anything on the idiot box, to quote KRS-One, the tell lie vision, because it tells lies to your vision, then you can clearly see which way this is going. But living through the principles of Nguzo Saba, our greatness, I'm seeing us just grow as a people. We are in the greatest need of umoja, that's unity. It doesn't matter where in the diaspora you come from. We need to know and understand that we are stronger together. And in my lifetime, if we don't unify in some form or fashion, we may cease to grow into Kujichagulia, and that's self-determination. There's an African proverb that says that if you want to go fast, go alone. But if we want to go far, go together. And that's from Burkina Faso. We must stop following others' playbook because we are the authors of the playbook. As they actually are following ours, we just have to be educated to understand what that is. And why is that? It's because they're using our ancient playbook. I see this daily in clinical herbalism spaces where white people are all over the place. They're everywhere, and a very few of us, and this is our natural medicine. But they are taking it and, they're co-opting it and they're making money off of it. And I sit here in these spaces and very few of us, and things are hidden from us that actually come from our ancestors. This is indigenous ancient healing. Even our bodies are divine. Our bodies are divine. Our spirits, we are highly spiritual people. This is why we're not destroyers. Show me in history where we've just come and destroyed whole nations of people. We're not destroyers. We are builders. We are lovers. We are family oriented. When they talk about indigenous ancient healing, we can't talk about it without discussing the first university, the University of Sankor. We have to talk about Mansa Musa. We have to talk about 700 manuscripts that to this date they have not read or been able to interpret. Ujima must be a part of our lived experiences. That's working together. We got to learn to do that. I'm seeing that more and more. I'm seeing us get together and support each other. We have to work together. We have to build businesses. We have to continue. We are so tough that during the pandemic experiment, yes, I said it, many people lost a lot and they gave up, and some people became highly depressed and didn't know how they were going to make it, but not us. Do you know that statistics show that we created more businesses than any group during the pandemic? See, we know how to put that government cheese together. We know how to eat those ketchup sandwiches. We know how to get some incense and turn it into something. We know how to make something out of nothing. And thus we have birthed so much commerce that they just can't understand how we did it. So Ujima, we have to build and continue to build businesses. We have to build schools. We have to build grocery stores. We may be spread out in Southern California, but that network of knowing where to go and going back to where you came from. If you're from Carson, then you're in Carson visiting your family, pick up something from the Black-owned bookstore or, wherever. This is what we have to do. But then we also have Ujamaa, cooperative economics. We have the highest, if we are so poor and broke, why are we worth trillions of dollars in spending? We're not poor and broke, we just mismanage. We need financial literacy. Those of us in the community that understand financial literacy need to teach financial literacy to our youth and our adults so that we can be more good stewards of our money. We spend our money with people who don't even respect us. We spend it on things that really don't matter. We waste money. We're in dire need of our own businesses that provide true education, the best health care, healthy foods, and the ability to build housing, grocery stores, and hospitals, something we had prior to integration. We must ask ourselves today, what is our NIA? What is our purpose? Why are we here? Speaking in the present, we know historically what we've been through, but how do we decide what our future is if we don't know where we are now and what we need to change? We don't always live up to what we say, but it's imperative that we find our purpose individually and figure out how we can take our individual purposes and help the greater good for the rest of the community. We have to get back to neighborhoods and honor our elders and ourselves. For those of us who, I won't say my age, but those of us who had the pleasure of growing up in an all-Black city, you understand what it is to know who your neighbor is and Miss Johnson around the corner. And if you were out on the street cussing, that Miss Red would call your mom and say, hey, they're out there cussing. And by the time you got home, you got your booty kicked. You didn't call elders by their first name. You gave respect. We need to get back to that. Kumba. Creativity. Look at us. Our hair is fly. We come up with so many different styles. We come up with so many different, we have swag, that's creativity, but guess what else we create? We have engineers, we have doctors, we have lawyers. We have, do you know the cell phone, the very cell phone that you have stuck on your hip that you can't live without? That was one of us. Where do you think that cobalt comes from? That was us. We're still creating, we're just not being given the recognition for what we do. Many of us fell financially, but again, we created new jobs, we created new businesses. Some of us created new products, new ways of living. Some of us have just totally shifted and changed the game. That's how creative we are. We have more millionaires today than we've ever had. And guess what? Some of these millionaires are not even out of high school yet. They have found a way to use the internet to make money and never leave their house. That, my dears, is Kumba. We have our own news channels now. We have created income. We have all these influencers, but we have to stop spreading the stupidity and use these airwaves to teach and uplift. Last but not least, we have to hold on to our imani, our faith. I'm sure that we all come from different backgrounds, we have different beliefs, and that's okay. But one thing I noticed as a professor, I don't care what country, what Asian country that they come from, they all come together under one thing. The Russians do it, the Armenians do it, they all have the central thing that they believe, even if otherwise they fight each other. We have to have one thing that we agree on. That's our Blackness. However you understand that to be, whatever that means to you. We have to agree on the code of conduct, which would be the Mbuzo Saba. We have to agree to respect each other as we respect ourselves. Now remember, Kwanzaa is not a religious holiday. People think it's the Black Christmas. It is not. It's a celebration of us as a people and who we are. It's something that we need to continue to learn and understand the principles. You know, we're not a monolith. Just because we have highly melanated skin does not mean we come from the same culture. It does not mean we come from the same socioeconomic status. It does not mean we come from the same educational background. But Blackness to me is a spiritual experience. It's not just cultural, it's spiritual. And if there's anything that can connect that, that should be it. I call it, when I call, I say I'm calling the 12 tribes. Everybody come together and let's work this thing out and make it happen. I like to leave with this. We have to have enough faith to respect and protect our elders, our children, ourselves. And in the present, in order to do these things, we need that code of conduct. We must agree on living that way if we are going to move forward into what's coming. The others should know, just like they do with each other, that if they cross the line, that the community will hold them to answer. We need to go back to that. We need our queens to respect our kings. We need our kings to respect our queens. And we need our youth to stop looking at the foolishness that's all around them and look forward and be taught by our community. We need inspiration to compel us to grow, and we should not fear it. We should embrace it. Because guess what? The truth of the matter is, in the present, we have no one but ourselves. And in my opinion, we are all we need. Thank you.
Asante Sana.
Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Sam.